Sir.
Good evening, Sandra. Thank you.
You were very, very excited when the OSP began the processes to prosecute Cecilia Dapaah. Today, that prosecution has been aborted. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's quite sad. It's sad that that's the state of the law, But thank God, even though yes, initially I was excited, but as the weeks wore on, it became clear that we're not getting any headway in terms of who brought the money. When it comes to corruption, it takes two to tango. But with time, it became clear that we're not getting the source of the money. So the excitement started waning. But I'm also the type that I'm so excited that the fact that we found hardcore evidence has given us an opportunity to use it to bash this government, you see, and to hold them accountable. That you see, these are all the things we've always known have been happening, but Akufo-Addo kept denying that there's no corruption in his government, etc. So though so far we don't have hardcore evidence that it is corruption, but it's that case still serves a very critical purpose in our governance discourse. We are still using it sufficiently in the public space. So for me, to that extent, we've not lost it all. It's just that, we are not also getting it as perfect as we wish.
Cecilia Dapaah is an experienced lawyer. The OSP has handled so many cases in the past. How many months does a lawyer of Cecilia Dapaah's caliber need to be able to determine that this is not within my jurisdiction? Because don't forget all the brouhaha that surrounded this particular case. The bravado with which the officers went to her home to go and search, the freezing of the account, the subsequent court order, the dropping of charges and the immediate rearrest and the freezing of the account. All of this was happening. Are you saying to us that there's a possibility that the OSP would have been doing all of this without checking simply to see if it has a mandate to prosecute this person? Because everything has been dropped. Like the charges have been amended, some have been withdrawn, and some portions are still being kept. Everything has been dropped by the OSP completely. At what point should the OSP ought to have known this and did the dropping? Because it looks like it's been a waste of time. We've been engaging on a wild goose chase.
Sandra, I see the point you're making. Theoretically, your point is unassailable. There's nothing anybody will be able to say if it's in terms of the theory, okay? Because that looks like quite a reasonable time. But when you come to the ground, practically, to be honest, sometimes corruption cases take years. You remember the classical example, FIFA. Look at the Sepp Blatter case. We've always known that FIFA is corrupt. Since from how many decades ago, we always knew that FIFA is the mafia game, this, that, rigging and the rest. You see how many years it took the FBI to nail them. So that should tell you. Corruption, the actors are powerful, extremely powerful. So they will put blocks, impediments on you with every step of the way. So because of that, it's difficult for me to readily agree that 7 months is been sufficiently long. No. And so because of that, I'm even thinking that the OSP Act should be amended, especially when it comes to those sections saying that within 60 days, is that section 35, forgotten the number, saying that if you seize assets, then you must go to court within 60 days. That's too short. So, Sandra, you may be right in certain circumstances, you may also not be right in others. It all depends. But you see, because the OSP doesn't share all the facts, all the information with us, it will be difficult to make a definite assessment. But there is also merit in your question. So with this, it means that citizens are complaining that, listen, these cases take too long. So that means that next time we should have officers on it 24/7. Yes, because it's painful. I see what I know. I followed social media. People are like, we said that this case will not amount to much. Why did people say it will not amount to much? Because they knew that Akufo-Addo is what? A clearing agent. So once he's a clearing agent, he would help. And just like he himself publicly said that, he knows that Dapaah will be exonerated. And based on Okufuado's previous conduct, so it gave people the suspicion that this day, today, was going to come anyway. You see, so you have every right. It's good you've done that. Let's continue to complain, because complaints help. Complaints help. All right. But we will also give a margin of appreciation, knowing that corruption is difficult to fight and the actors. Sandra, you think the person that gave Madam Dapaah all the plenty money is not here? The person is here. We all have our number one suspect. But, under the law, we don't want to go there because we weren't there when the money was paid.
We thought that person is in the grave.
He said he's in the grave.
Yeah, the person who gave her the money, the account, we know about her brother. That has come up.
Oh, but Sandra, that one didn't check out. When the OSP did it, later she refiled for me. Initially she said, and even the money, we have various tranches of money, different. So you are talking about the initial 800,000. So she said 800,000 for her brother, 200,000 for her husband, right? That 800,000, when lawyer William Kusi in Kumasi, representing the brother's widow, prepared to sue, and Madam Dapaah heard about it. Later she changed her mind and said, no, the money is for her, it's not for the brother. So that story is changed. So the point is that the money is said that she's not be able to explain. So that is the 800,000 she claimed belongs to her. Now the 590,000, the story she gave, that's the dollars, and the 2.7, that's what they found subsequently. The story she gave about the source of the money, they didn't check out, etc. Right? Yeah. So those are issues that she will have to contend with for the rest of her life. Because don't forget, even though the OSP is handing over the file, the reports that were issued earlier that said her responses about the sources of the money didn't check out. Those will indict Madam Dapaah for the rest of her life. She can't come near public office. Nobody will offer her any seat in any public office because of this disgraceful behavior. Yeah, so in a way, it's success as we continue to look for the person who paid the money. We all have our suspect. I'm sure the person also knows that he should just be careful. His days are numbered. The way there's been skirmishes around him, today there's this trouble, the next day there's another. You should just know that. Don't
mention any name. Don't mention any name.
I'm not. Mr. Alexander, I'm a lawyer.
I know.
For crying out loud.
Finally, the level of excitement you had when this case was begun or initiated by the OSP, would you and do you have the same level of excitement considering that it's going to EOCO, another independent body?
Oh, naturally, the excitement has come down, as I mentioned earlier, that, it's just natural for it to come down because the case has not been wrapped up. There's that side of me, but the conscious side of me to remind me, like I said, because of the said Blatter case, we can use to point out how long and painstaking the FBI took before they finally grabbed him, etc. So my excitement has come down, but it's not totally down. It's still sufficient for us to keep discussing. You see, I'm even doing this discussion with you. Yeah, I'm so happy that, the more we discuss this topic, then the more it sends a chilling signal to the rest of the ministers. And Sandra, please, I want you guys to join me for us to repeat several times to the OSP that the masses are meet every day. They keep telling their lawyer, tell OSP to search the rest of the ministers. You think it's only Madam Dapaah who keeps this money? The rest of the ministers, you think the money they've been taking, the money Kennedy Japan says they are stealing and stashing abroad. It's not everything they stash abroad. Some are in their houses. Those in the polytowns, those in the WCs. That's what the masses are saying, that they want all the ministers searched. What's Mr. Cecilia doing about this? Now, in September, he got, starting from in September, he got the 249 new staff. Yeah, so there should be enough people to search the ministers. The thing the kickbacks they take and the rest is everything they take abroad. We are being docile, because the guys, we need to say, lawyer, but Madam Dapaah's case, what about the rest of the ministers? What about the rest? We have to search them. I don't think we can just sit down. We are looking very weak and allowing people who are not, some are our classmates, some are a bit our seniors, etc. Some not even as good as we are. They are occupying public office and stealing, and we are watching. What are we scared of? Look, death will come anyway. Look, you can lie in your room and die. So this timid attitude, this docility has to give way. You have to get up. You have to get up.
Can you just start rounding up people and start searching them without cause?
Oh, the cause is that it's common knowledge that, listen, the way times are hard, the way the public accounts are not adding up. You look at Auditor General's reports, all the malfeasance, and you think the public servants can do that alone if the ministers are not involved. You think those men...
So just based on speculation, you start rounding up ministers and searching them. That sounds like what happens in the undemocratic regimes, don't you think?
But you think we have a democratic regime? Does Ghana look like a democracy to you, Sanda?
As it stands, it is, and that's why you and I are able to speak freely tonight on the radio.
Akufo-Addo didn't bring us freedom of speech. It's Rawlings. Rawlings did, and that's how he spoke his mind in Rawlings' regime. Of course, he was arrested once on suspected treason, etc. But that apart, he was largely able to speak. A champion time, even a champion was a military leader. He could do his demonstration. You know, Akufo-Addo did demonstration against a champion to resign. He was just referred to that. So I said, oh, okay. Then when we also demonstrated against him to resign for corruption, that was just karma coming back. Yeah, you check our history in the 70s. I read somebody's PhD thesis, and it was there. He demonstrated, led the demonstration that a champion should go. A champion is corrupt. So now, over 40 years later, other people would demonstrate against him to also resign for corruption. Yeah, so, Sanda, that is the point. Please, let's not kid ourselves. This our democracy is in shambles. It's in shambles. You talk to people, even people in the military, they are not happy. The young guys, share, you have no idea. Don't play. It's just by grace. This our democracy is hanging by its teeth. Yeah, because the corruption. And you see, listen, Sanda, I'm not the one saying it. Even 400 years before Jesus was born, Socrates made this statement that in a democracy, once leaders loot us blind, once leaders loot us, eventually the citizens will get up. And that's the same thing Agbojo said a few years ago. And then they sought to guard him because they knew that if they allowed Agbojo to continue saying, hey, Arab Spring, more citizens will rise, right? Yeah, but that's the truth. You read Socrates' Republic, he said it, if you Google, in a democracy, the way leaders are stealing us blind, one day the citizens will get up, will rise against the leaders, and then there will be anarchy. So that's just what has been coming slowly. And Akufo-Addo himself said it when he was in opposition. He said Mohammed's government was so bad that we had an Arab Spring on our hands. And when he came in, he didn't do anything to stop unemployment. He didn't do much to stop the economic hardship. Rather, even after COVID, the World Bank's report shows that 850,000 people have now also fallen into the poverty bracket, increasing the numbers. He didn't do much. So what do you think is happening? It's the Arab Spring that's staring us in the face.
Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
That's